all yours.
Okay, great. Hey, Nathan, thank you. And first off, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for this customer success webinar. And to start, I'd like to introduce the star of our show, Jessica from Randstad. So Jessica, I'll let you say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm excited to be able to share with you our journey that we have made through Bright Pattern.
Awesome. And everybody, to start things off, I'd like to just add a little bit of context. So I've worked with some really amazing people in the last 20 years in the customer service industry, and a number of them I've spoken with live at CCW. And I have to say that in the last 20 years, I've just met Jessica in the last few months, and I can tell you right away that she is one of those super energetic, passionate people with great ideas, and right at the very top of anyone I've ever spoken with. So I'm really excited for her to share her story. So
thanks, Ted.
It's going to be it'll be a good one, a really interesting one. So the topic is a promise made to a CIO and how that promise was delivered. So we'll get into that momentarily, but first, I thought it'd be good for Jessica to maybe say a few words about Randstad. They're one of the largest HR services firms in the world, but she works there, so she knows a whole lot better than I do. So I'll let her tell the story.
Sure. Again, my name is Jessica Osborne. I'm the IT support automation manager. So my team is responsible for a lot of the support tools and things like that for the organization. I work in Randstad North America, so we are responsible for the whole US as far as for our staffing needs. Randstad is a global company. Here in the US, we have approximately 65 to 7,000 internal employees, and we put to work approximately 100,000 people a week. We are throughout the whole type of business. So we're general staffing to accountants to CIOs on everything in between. So it's a lot of fun to work for the company, but as you can see with our numbers and our volume, we are very busy and we keep our support teams very busy.
Awesome, great overview. So now we're going to jump on into the story. And Jessica, before we get into the promise you made to your CIO, I thought it'd be great to maybe have you talk a little bit about where you were a few years ago when you were with Prem Solutions, and then sort of how you made the journey to the cloud. And anyway, I'll let you tell that part of the story yourself.
Sure. So my journey started in this type of environment, or a voice type environment, in 2013. Randstad decided to switch from just a normal phone, a desk phone with a sidecar and just prompts, to an actual IVR system. So when we were originally on the phone system, we found that we were getting more and more misdirected calls because the caller couldn't identify themselves, they couldn't route correctly, they were just selecting an option to speak to a person. They ended up getting routed around 3, 4, 5 times trying to get to the right person. So we knew that at that point in 2013, with the growth that we were anticipating at that point, that wasn't going to be sustainable. We started looking at a lot of different options and ended up with an on-prem voice solution. That's like my passion. So when I started on it, I actually got to build it. I was very involved with it. We started with a plan. We started mapping it all out, lots of whiteboard sessions and things like that. And we started integrating a lot of automation and different things like that. So we used that from 2013 until more recent when we switched over to Bright Pattern. Some of the reasons why we ended up switching, we had reached kind of capacity as far as the limitations of the system. So where could we go next, and how could we automate, and how could we invent new ways of doing business? We had kind of reached that limit. Also, it was an on-prem solution, and so we were closing our data center. I didn't have a place for an on-site server. I didn't have anybody to support it. I couldn't bring it in-house. So, kind of looking at those types of things. Also, there was a lot of just capabilities, AI and things like that, that we wanted to look at that weren't available. So started looking for something more along the lines of an AI solution. That's what my management had tasked me with. And in looking through AI solutions, that's when I came upon BrightPattern and realized it was so much more than an AI solution. So it was more than just being able to do a chatbot. It had everything, and I could put it all in one place, and I could put it in the cloud, and there was no need for a data center or a network admin or anything like that.
Awesome, great. So Jessica, so topic number 2, and you started getting into it a little bit. So, you know, part of what we're all seeing now is this incredible world of digital transformation. I even was reading something in the news this morning from the head of Salesforce talking about how, hey, this world, it's not going to change, it's only to become more digital. So can you share a little bit, you know, some of the digital, you know, once you move from prem to the cloud, what were some of the things that digitally you were looking to do? You mentioned bots, but tell us more about your digital transformation and that journey.
So for us, you know, we had just chat and just calls in place. They were in 2 different systems. We wanted to combine them into one system. We wanted to leverage reporting. We wanted to leverage those types of things. And then, you know, like I said, I wanted to look at AI. There, with staffing 100,000 people a week, you can imagine the number of contacts that they make into support, whether it be they're talking to HR or they're talking to another department. How do we do that? How do we leverage everything in one system? How do we leverage being able to have one agent handle multiple different areas? How do you, how are we able to messaging out, you know, maybe your paycheck didn't happen or something like that. We want to make sure that we're messaging out. So we were looking at all kinds of different availabilities within the system and saw that it was scalable. So that was the big thing for us, is it wasn't just, I didn't have to like go big bang on everything. I could start and add to it. So we started with calls, and then we added to chats, and now we're adding additional features and all the different things that we want to do. And, you know, I would have loved to have done the big bang. I would have loved to have taken on everything. I don't think my organization could have handled it, nor would I have slept much to be able to support it. But there is so much that you can leverage there with, you know, all of the different aspects of the system. You really can make it to where they can use, you know, your end user can use any device to reach out to you. There's lots of different ways that they can reach out to you, texting and chatting and calling, and, you know, all of those things that we were really, that's what drove us really to making that leap into BrightPattern.
Awesome, great. That's amazing. The world's gone mobile, channels, messengers, it's real now.
Well, and especially now with the pandemic and everything, it's really brought it way more to light. So, you know, when we were originally talking about this, it was well before pandemic. We didn't have any idea that we would need to be completely remote. We didn't have any idea that, you know, an on-prem solution for us, going back to topic 1, an on-prem solution for us wasn't going to work, because that meant everybody had to be on VPN and everybody had to be, you know, within the organization, and you had to be on the network and all these things. And being able to be a cloud product, to be able to add and remove additional features to the system as we go, I mean, it's made a huge difference, especially since the pandemic.
Awesome. I'm so glad you mentioned that as well, because I guess we're remote right now, right? So
right.
now more and more of our workforces, we're seeing one of the largest banks in the US, we just moved them in a couple of weeks, 2,000 agents remote when they needed to, and we saw similar things in Europe. So we're seeing everyone's living this new reality. So
right, exactly.
So next question, you mentioned some great technology, and we're a technology vendor, obviously, but one thing I've learned in the 20 years is great technology can be great, but without great leadership and people, like you mentioned, how you wanted to do the big bang and get, spread it everywhere. I've seen that if you don't really have people who are visionary and with the energy and the passion, they can have the best technology, but if they don't have leadership, it doesn't happen. They don't have the big bang ultimately, the good big bang. So you started to share a little bit about what you were doing with other departments, and they sort of like they got a taste of this Kool-Aid, if you will, started coming to you, is what I heard from one of our earlier conversations. Cool. So can you share, like you as a luminary, as a spreader of some of the good ideas, can you share how that worked out within the larger Randstad organization?
Sure, absolutely. So, of course, coming from support, so I'm in the IT support team. So coming from support, I'm always looking at what we can do to help with the IT department. So IT support is my main focus. But not only that, once we start rolling it out to IT support, then how do we help the rest of the organization? How do we help all our field employees? How do we help our internal employees, our external employees? How do we help those that are answering calls, things like that? So we started really designing it along the lines of IT support. Started working in our call center. They are the ones that handle the largest volume of calls with our external employees. Calls meaning contacts. So it could be calls, chats, all those types of things. So we started working them in, and then once they saw it, that's our business services department. And so once they saw that, then people from like credit reached out, AR reached out, then we had payroll reach out, HR department wanted to be involved, and we have some off-site call centers that wanted to be involved because of the fact that the system is so flexible. You don't have to sit here. You don't have to sit on network, anything like that. We have people that are outside of the country that answer some of our calls and chats. We have remote users, anything like that. So we were able to really promote the opportunity to be able to use it and to be able to use it within their own need. So some of the departments are only taking calls. Some of them are only taking chats. Some of them are more interested in just that outbound calling or the outbound texting to let people know of things. So definitely using it and selling it in multiple different ways and multiple different areas, to where, like the outbound one. So we're working on being able to upload the file. They put in a ticket for us with the file in it. We upload the file, and then the file runs it, and it automatically texts all the employees that they need to notify of something. So there's lots of different use cases, lots of different departments, and as we were gaining the success and as we were showing the productivity and the volume there, then more and more people are tapping me on the shoulder. And I get that more often than not. I just got an email from a gentleman today who was like, hey, can we have a call? Can we talk? I'm really interested in, how we can utilize the system and all of that. So definitely utilizing it in multiple different areas and multiple different ways for the organization. So is what I can say is it's not just a customer facing tool, or it's not just an IT tool. It can be used for all your different departments.
Cool, awesome. So it's always exciting when you start to evangelize and spread the word and people like tap you on the shoulder, reach out to you. I mean, that's got to be very rewarding personally. So
my favorite is actually, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My favorite was, so when we first started, we were trying to sell it, we were, kind of going around advertising a little here and there. We had to stop the advertising. We can't advertise it anymore. It was getting too much. So now we just let them come to us.
Awesome. That's a great story. I mean, that tells you things are working the way they're supposed to. That's
exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
So Jessica, they obviously came to you partly because of some of your ideas and vision and what you were doing. So I know you mentioned originally you came looking for a bot, everyone's looking at AI. It's like amazing. It's one of the hottest parts of our website. When I looked yesterday, how many visitors we get there, but what do you see for the future? Like even things that you're looking at doing in the short term, or what are some of the maybe innovative use cases, channels, anything for the future that you're seeing? Maybe not just at Randstad, but really anywhere in the customer support, customer service industry.
So in customer support, one of the big things that Bright Pattern has worked really hard on more recently is the QM part of it, the quality management, and how do you tie that in and have the interactions so that you can validate the work, you can make sure that the sentiment is in the correct format or anything like that for your calls, your chats, those types of things. So QM is one of the big ones that we're going to be adding in that's going to really help us solidify the responses, solidify our agents and things like that. You know, with the amount of volume that we have, we want to make sure that we're not just living a blind world and thinking, oh, life's all grand and, you know, everybody loves us, you know, so we want to be able to improve those types of interactions as they need to be. Some of the other things we're looking at is transcription. That's a big one that I just recently heard. I was on a call with one of our other groups, and they're looking at transcription. They're looking at you know, keyword identifiers, so they can go into the transcription and look and see if a keyword is used, anything like that. Again, with the chat bot or the bot, we want to use that. We want to use voice print. So we do want to be able to identify the caller by their voice so that we can just move them right through the system and they don't have to use a keypad or anything like that in order to be able to identify themselves. And one of the other big ones for us is the conversational IVR. So no more button pushes. Just tell me what you want, tell me what you're looking for, and let me tell you where you need to go.
Awesome. You know, I love your examples too, because like even if you ask most people if they want self-service, over 90% of them will say, yes, please. But if you ask everybody how many people love a standard IVR, no one will raise their hand.
No.
And we talk about effortless service, but when you call in, the first thing we do is say name, rank, and serial number versus like voice biometrics, as you mentioned, which is an incredible area. And then even the QM, it's so amazing. We know quality of customer experience is so important, but today I think typically like 1% of like voice interactions are typically, you know, they're sampled. And all these other channels from a quality standpoint aren't even monitored. So to be able to do things like keyword identification, sentiment by interaction across any channel on all your interactions, and then being able as a supervisor to say, hey, show me all the low sentiment interactions on any channel, review the recording, and then coach and help that person to do better is amazing. So it's almost like we talk about these channels and the importance of quality, yet most companies don't measure them. So I'm glad you got into that one. So
absolutely. Cool. I mean, and you know, I mean, you look at so where we are today, we have someone who sits down and listens to recordings and says, okay, does that one sound good? Does that one not sound good? You know, and being able to have the system do that for us so that we can pick out, okay, I really do want to listen to that recording. I want to hear how it sounds versus just randomly picking 5 calls out of a, you know, 500. It's just going to help narrow down those training opportunities or those areas of improvement that we can really hone in on now, instead of having to just guess at which ones we should actually be listening to.
Awesome. You let AI do some of the identification of like where the low MPS or the low sentiment interactions. And then it's nice having it all in one versus separate QM systems per channel that you have to maintain, and having it all together is
absolutely
great.
Yep. And one central place for reporting, one central place for all that is much better. It was a nightmare having it in multiple different systems for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So now, you know, our topic of our webinar was about a promise. So I wanted to, we had to get to that one. So I wanted you to, when we first talked, this is what caught my attention, because I thought it was a really compelling story, because everyone's looking to say, hey, how do we prove ROI, or how do we get the CIO to get on board? And, you know, a lot of these kinds of discussions we all have in the customer experience industry. So tell us about the conversation you had in your promise, because I thought that was really cool.
Sure. So, you know, I mean, I experienced the same thing that you just mentioned. I had the same type of drawback, you know, who wants to spend all of the extra money, or who wants to switch? You know, why do we switch from something that's working, right? We had some extenuating circumstances with the data center and things like that, but still, why do we want to switch? And what's the company to switch to? And, you know, after doing a lot of research with Bright Pattern, having those conversations and things like that, I saw what I could create. I saw the vision. I saw the future, and I was so excited about it. And I kept hitting that roadblock of, I don't know, we shouldn't, whether we should or shouldn't. And so I did my, 30-second elevator speech with my CIO. It happened to be a little longer because I caught him in the in the hallway instead of the elevator. But I was talking to him and I said, look, I know that you have some concerns, some hesitations with switching systems. I know Bright Pattern is a solid company. I know Bright Pattern's a solid product. I've done all my research. I've talked to other customers. I've talked to everybody within the company. I said, give me 1 year, and I'll transform support. Support will not look like what it does right now. So give me 1 year in order to do that. And, it took a little bit of convincing, but he did. What's exciting is I've gotten feedback back, not from my CIO, but I got feedback from my SVP, and my SVP just was like, Bright Pattern, it was the right product, and you stuck to it, and I'm so glad that we went with that. So, it's really exciting to be able to, promote a product, implement the product, and then get the validation that it was the right direction that we should go.
Awesome. And I love your story about how you spread it to other departments and how, it's being seen from the C-level, C-suite all the way down. So what an incredible story. So finally, I know we're hitting on a lot of great content, and boy, Jessica, it's wonderful just hearing the story again, but I wanted you to maybe share some words of wisdom for everybody listening.
Yep. So, some of the things.
Are there things like closing costs to look for, consider, or whatever you want to offer?
So I think for me, the great thing about Bright Pattern is, I love that I'm a valued customer. So I am able to reach out to anybody for support. I put in a ticket, I get that response back right away. I get my resolution right away, or a contact, know exactly what's going on. That confidence level and support is huge for me. I am a support organization, or part of the organization. So not only is it expected of me, but I expect that of them. And I love that. I love the implementation process. It was much more smooth than you can ever imagine. We trained together, we built it together, we worked through, any questions that we had, anything like that. I modeled a lot of my training that I did with my agents and things like that after the training that I received, because it was so good. Definitely a proven return on investment. Somebody asked me the other day about downtime or, redundancy and things like that. We have no concern of that. That has not been a problem at all. Our previous system, we became babysitters. We had to sit and watch the system every day, all day long. And we don't do that at all with Bright Pattern. It's been a very comforting move in that aspect of not having to have someone devoted to just watching the system. I used one of my guys who came off support. He promoted up from support. He's the one that does the development. So the development is, you can understand the development. You don't have to pay for someone specific or, get somebody college graduate in that particular type of development. They're able to learn from just, organically, which is awesome. It's just been a very positive experience and a very positive move.
Awesome. So, hey, Jessica, just to, I know we're coming up on our half hour here, and I want to just first off say thank you for being such an innovative customer of ours. And I mean, your energy, your ideas, and your passion, it's contagious. So I'm hoping that even when we started talking, and I see you in this little window on my screen right now, I see a much bigger picture here, and you've laid out like some great ideas. So I want to just thank you again for all your energy, passion, and sharing your story. And hopefully for all the people, thank you for attending as well. And hopefully you learned some great ideas here today, some things you might want to try. And Enjoy CCW. And again, Jessica, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
I know you have vacation coming up, so enjoy. And
Thank you.
Bright Pattern will be perfectly up 100% while you're gone, by the way. No, I should say that.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.